everybody, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Quick Review Thursday. I'm your host, Jonathan Moody, and I'm here with
Liz Fletcher.
Whoosh, Liz is back. Thank you for coming back. Actually, the last time
Absolutely.
we had you was the last episode of last season where we did uh the Just Right, one of the
Oh, yeah,
last
I
episodes.
remember that one. Yeah.
Yeah, so decided I'd have you come back and we do a different movie that's sort of I don't know, dramatic, I guess. Very dramatic.
Yeah.
It's not my typical go-to kind of thing with you, I guess, or with most of the things, most of the movies. I'm actually going to be showing a lot more kind of dramas or action movies or things that aren't horror because
Right.
we do those kind of on Indie Film Cafe a lot. But all right, so I picked this movie December because it was a movie I found at the Dollar Tree, and it was on a double bill with Toy Soldiers, another movie that Wil Wheaton was in. And I remember Toy Soldiers, and I remember liking that movie. So I was like, all right, for $1.25, you get two movies, Like I'll have to check this out because I've never even
Not a
heard
bad
of it.
deal.
Yeah. And it's got a freaking cast. Like, I don't know if you know
Oh, I
most of these
know.
people. You don't? Or you do?
Well, no, I did. I made some notes because I'm horrible with names. Um, but I recognized Wil Wheaton in
Mm-hmm.
it, who my favorite role with him ever is Stand By Me. I
Was he,
freaking love that movie.
what movie was that?
Wil Wheaton,
Yeah, what movie was Will Wheaton in?
Stand By Me?
Oh, Stand By Me. Okay.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
was
no,
like,
he was great in
am I
that.
messing up the
And
actors?
I love seeing him in like Big Bang Theory and things like that.
Yeah.
Um, so I was really excited. Like I wanted to see this, but it also has Balthasar Getty, who is sort of at that time a child actor who sort of got his, start out there.
Lord
Jason
of the
London,
Flies.
Lord of the Flies. Jason London, who was in like Dazed and Confused, like right after this,
Yeah.
and stuff. So then there was Brian Krause, who everybody knows from like Charmed,
Right,
he was
right.
like I think one of the girls' boyfriends or whatever in Charmed. I know him from he was in a a remake of Plan 9 from Outer Space called Plan 9 that I was in. So we're sort of in the same scene, but it was filmed on different days. Movie magic, right?
Yeah.
So, where I'm a zombie that's he's kind of coming whatever toward and stuff, but we're not in the yeah, I never met him, sadly. But
That's
I would have
still
loved to.
awesome, though.
Yeah, it was awesome to have him in there. And then Chris Young. Oh my God. So one of my favorite movies of all time is this movie called PCU. And I'm doing it for Hollywood Knockbusters at some point. But PCU, I don't know if you remember that movie at all, Liz. Do you remember PCU?
I don't think I saw that one.
Okay, it stars Jeremy Piven, younger Jeremy Piven, and Chris Young is the like this new kid. He's I guess a frosh is what they call him, and he's kind of becoming like
Like a
whatever.
freshman.
He's like going to be a freshman, so I guess they call him a frosh.
Stop. Julian
Um,
McVeigh. Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
no, it's okay. It happens especially when you're doing some zooms and stuff. But anyway, so using that, and I've always liked him in a bunch of stuff. So I couldn't wait to see this movie when I saw that cast, and then I watched the flick, and it was
Juliana, I'm doing a podcast right now. You need to be quiet.
all right.
Okay, I'm sorry, Jonathan.
No, it's okay. So, I saw the cast and was like, I gotta watch this. And I watched it and I was like, I want to review this, but I couldn't figure out what to do it for. And since it's an indie film, it's either Indie Film Cafe, which I think I don't think it's right for Indie Film Cafe necessarily, or Quick Review Thursday. And so here we go. Um, but I want to get what are your first thoughts on it?
Okay, so I was a little bit first and foremost, I was kind of bored.
That's okay.
It's a very dialogue heavy film, and I feel like what we're kind of used to nowadays, with the exception of a few here and there, is we just want in your face um effects, and we're just expected to be wowed constantly. So trying to turn my brain down to that level where I'm like focused on this dialogue and what's happening and the emotions between these people. Um, I really, really got into the movie, and just the acting was great. I really enjoyed it. And you're probably going to try to stop me because you want me to explain what the movie's about, right?
Yeah, yeah, go ahead. Explain what it's about.
So, December is about these five prep school kids. I call them kids because I'm older, but
Well, I
they're
mean, they are
they're like
kids. Yeah.
they're like high school senior age,
Yeah, they're like
and
I think 17, about
yeah,
17, 16.
and the world has just witnessed the bombing of Pearl Harbor the day before. So not only are these five young men kind of trying to grapple with this horrible thing that has just happened, but they're also having these conflicts, not just within themselves, but also with each other over whether to enlist in the war or not.
Okay, yeah, that's
Was that
exactly.
okay?
And but and I want to like stress that there was a bit where this was a boarding school in New England, and
Yeah.
the idea was that anybody who wanted to go serve their country in the Navy, Marines, whatever, could do that uh at the age of 17. So the idea was they'll let them get out of school and not, they don't have to complete school or whatever. They can go just right into it as long as they got into that bus the next day and go. And so there's a little bit of that, and then there's a little bit of drama because one of them doesn't really want to go to war. That's Wil Wheaton's character, and he finds that out by reading a book that the headmaster like wanted to burn. And it was, I mean, there was a lot of dialogue about
Yeah.
um the about how Hitler was burning books and all these different things. It was interesting. Like
Right.
I was into it, like into that. I can tell in the beginning it is kind of boring where it is like a setup for the characters and it is a lot
Yeah.
of talking. It's almost like a play. Um, but you have to think, once again, it's an indie film. So a lot of what makes indie films, pretty decent is is dialogue, is dialogue
Right.
driven.
Absolutely.
But yeah, you're right. Today's kids watching this might not be as into it, as, like, I don't know, me, who I grew up on movies like Clerks, where it's all dialogue, and
Yeah. Yeah.
funny dialogue. This was not very funny. This is very dramatic. Kids were almost melodramatic at times. The kids were yelling at each other a lot. And, you know, um, Chris Young plays the character that wants to go to war. He's the
Right.
one who's like gung ho and trying to get everybody else. He's in the wife beater, and he's trying to get
Hmm.
everybody in to join him. And unfortunately, uh, some actually, I mean, I guess I can do a spoiler, if you haven't seen the movie, go see it on Tubi and then stop right now because I'm about to spoil the ending of the movie because I think that's a big part of it, is that the whole idea is, I think, like, even in the back of the when I was reading it said that, you'll it's gripping. By the end of the movie, you want to know who's going to go to war,
Yeah.
who's going to stay. And of course, everybody but Wil Wheaton's character go off to war and everything and kind of leave him alone at the school. But he's there to fight a different fight, and that's for
Absolutely. I love that you put it that way because that's also a war. for, the constant battle to have free speech and have information that's true and not skewed throughout the media. I'm not going to go into that.
Yeah, but I mean, that's
That's
sort of what it
another
was.
podcast.
But that was exactly what it was,
Yeah,
like it sort of harkens to today's society where we're banning books, you
right.
know, because we're banning books because we don't want kids reading about I don't know what it like what, and I'm like, I mean, let them read and make up their own minds on things. Like,
Exactly.
and I'm tired of that. Like, we
Yeah,
can't, somebody was making a comment that, like, now today is almost like the book 1984, I guess was what it was. It was the book about burning books and stuff, and
right.
then Fahrenheit 451 or whatever,
Yeah,
like all those books are all about how we're getting to a society where we're trying to destroy literature, and we're not
yeah,
trying to let people, think for think for themselves. We're trying to teach people what to think. And that's what this movie was about, is like the whole idea was that book was all about the atrocities of war and
yeah,
everything. And he decided, not to, so I love that. Like, and I love that you
yeah,
love
me
me
too.
putting it that way because it's true. What's,
Yeah,
um,
absolutely.
so was there anything else you took away from this movie?
Um, I lost my train of thought.
Sorry. I think that happens with
Um,
me.
so when I was looking through reviews, because I always do that whenever we watch a movie, I always read the reviews just to get other people's opinions on it too. And I there were several reviews where people had criticized the acting. They said that it was very
Wooden.
soapy, dramatic. But in my opinion, honestly, as I was watching this movie, um, some people may agree or disagree that this is an appropriate comparison. But I just think back to the days following 9/11. I remember that clearly. It was such a horrific thing that happened, and everybody had all these different emotions that these kids are feeling in this film about having seen something so horrific and what it just trying to process it and what it's going to mean for their lives and their futures. That's I know like a lot of the younger generations, I guess, haven't really experienced anything of that magnitude, but well, I guess COVID, but um I don't know. It just really hit home to me watching all these different emotions these kids were feeling.
Well, and I agree because you're about my age, or so. And when like that happened, when 9/11 happened, it sort of became this thing of like people around me saying, I'm gonna go support the war and I'm gonna
Yeah,
go, and then it got very um racist at times and stuff. And this movie
yeah,
sort of does that too, where they say the J word. I'm not going to say what it is, but they say it a
yeah.
lot. So if you've
Say
seen
it,
the
come
movie,
on.
you know. And I don't like saying that word because I find it derogatory,
Yeah.
and everything. But did I, am I mad that they would say these things? No, because this is how kids talked back then.
Right.
They were really honestly saying this stuff. It's not a movie that like doesn't hold up because that's whatever. That was the time period, you
Yeah.
know. So I totally think like I mean I just enjoyed that aspect of it, you know.
Yeah.
Did
It was
you
really good.
what?
It was really good. I really liked this movie a lot.
I did too. I was pleasantly surprised. I didn't know sort of what I was getting into, neither did you. You had no idea. I didn't tell you anything about it
I
or
know what I'm getting into when you ask me to review a movie with you.
I mean, honestly, this could have been something you did not like.
I
Just
I know I'll
because
always be and I'll always be entertained. I know
right.
that.
Well, and yeah, and that was the thing. This movie did have a lot of entertainment. One of my favorite scenes in the movie is when they sneak out, sort of, and then they go
Yeah.
to the um
Cafeteria.
cafeteria, and you see the guy's father, the picture of the guy's father, and the
Yeah.
stuff, and that's like, sort of brings the stuff out of him and everything, and also that line, which makes me think of today actually too. But there's a line in the movie where one of the guys says, it was um the fact that the Pearl Harbor is so far away, and they're
Yeah.
out there right now doesn't, I'm paraphrasing and probably butchering it, but the idea that there's a war going on and they're here and everything's fine,
Yeah.
and it's crazy to think like right now there is a war going on in Ukraine and
Right.
stuff, and we're here, everything's fine, right? In America, like everything, I mean, everything's not fine, fine, right? There's still wars going on inside, personal wars going around, but
It's all about perspective, you know?
yeah,
I think it's really hard for people living in America nowadays to, gosh, I'm getting so political tonight.
yeah. Well, it's supposed to. This movie kind of is supposed to bring out the political side of everybody, and I kind of
Yeah.
want that. Like, I want people to see that, and I want people to think and wonder, like, you know, should I have done this? Should I have gone?
Yeah.
Um,
But
should I go to war?
I think I think a lot of people today, young and old people, just lack perspective because our lives are so easy here. Granted, we all struggle, everybody's got their own crosses to bear, but compared to other parts of the world, like we are just, I mean, we have everything. We really shouldn't worry about anything, honestly.
Well, we should. I mean, I kind of, I kind of disagree in a way, but not in a like nasty, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I disagree that I think we should worry. We should worry about other people and care more.
Well,
And I feel
right,
like
right.
we should help, try to help out. But the problem is, like me personally, I don't have money to do that. Like if I had money to do that, that's the first thing I'd be
Oh,
doing,
yeah,
you
absolutely.
know. But right now, yeah, I have to focus on getting my life straight and my life like the way I want, then I can devote time to doing stuff like that. But if people
Yeah,
have the money and the time, they should devote it to like charities or different things,
right,
organizations
right.
that can help others because, I feel like we sort of live in a selfish bubble sometimes,
Yeah.
I mean, me personally, I feel like I'm always in a selfish bubble. I don't mean to be, but it is.
I think that's just how society is nowadays.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean,
or like
yeah.
the norm, whether that's a good thing or not.
Well, I mean, I've been very blessed to have an amazing family and friends and people around me and a support system and things, but not a lot of people have that,
Yeah.
out there. And so I loved how one of the main guys was just so gung ho on going to war, but I think he went it the more aggressive way, which might be the way like soldiers are, but like, the
Yeah.
way to coerce people to do stuff is to sort of talk to them one on one and try to try to get them to do that. Going aggressively just makes push people away. And so I think by the end of it, that was the thing, is he got less and less aggressive toward it. He was,
Yeah.
happy and he was understanding with Kip, aka Wil Wheaton. And it was so weird to see such a young Wil Wheaton when this was like right after Stand By Me, and I think, I don't know if it was right before or right around Star Trek and the Next Generation, where
Oh yeah, I remember he was in that.
yeah. You know what I mean? So like I think it was right when he was about to like take off and stuff
Hmm.
and everything even more. Um, Stand By Me helped. But I
Oh
think,
yeah, that movie was awesome.
yeah, that movie is probably one of my favorites of all time.
Hmm.
And not a lot of people talk about that one as well. I mean, I may put it on um Film Freaks at some point, or
Sign me
whatever.
up. I'm
Sign you
there.
up for that? All right. All right. I will definitely have you on for that episode. But yeah, I just really loved him in this, and I thought he was great. I thought everybody did a great job. You know,
Oh yeah, I agree. Like
Jason. Well, good.
like some of the reviews complained that it was dramatic, but they just experienced this horrible thing the previous day. There's going to be all kinds of emotions. They're going to be very dramatic and emotional. So I didn't think there was anything wrong with the acting. I thought it was
Mm.
fantastic.
I love the acting being dramatic. I mean,
Yeah,
if you're going to complain about the acting being dramatic in a drama, I think that's kind of silly, you know? Like I think the parts I saw, the reviews I saw, some of them say they were wooden. I disagree with that. I think they
yeah.
had different ranges of emotion and stuff, and I think they all did a great job. Jason London, talking about Captain America the whole time was pretty
Oh
funny.
yeah, I liked that.
I thought that was pretty funny because he treated Captain, well, I always thought of it as like Captain America sort of probably went through certain things that, because it was written about the same time as the war actually going
Right.
on and all that stuff. So maybe they did bring in a lot of real stuff happening at that time. Captain America say going to war and saving people and doing that because he's Captain America and he can, and that's, what's going on. Um, but for them to kind of bring it up with the guy, saying like, look, get your head out of the comic book. By the end of the movie, he says, this is just a comic book, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, wait, that's the first time I ever heard you say that. I thought that was
Yeah,
great. Um, I just all of the movie had such great stuff. Sneaking in and going swimming at that one point and everything.
yeah,
I knew he was going to push Wil Wheaton into the water. I knew that was going to happen. Saw it coming, but I don't know. Like the whole time, I was like thinking, this is just a bunch of guys. They got probably some of the best child actors at that time of that age range,
yeah.
and they gave them a great part that should have won awards. I don't know. See if it did win any awards, honestly. Um, because I think if it didn't,
I'm sure it had to have won some.
yeah, so it probably did, but I'm not seeing any right now. So I'm sure the director is Gabe Torres, and that was his directorial
Yeah,
debut. Um, it's funny, he went on to do like Unsolved Mysteries.
I saw that he had done a couple of episodes in 2022.
Right. He did that too. He did the new Unsolved Mysteries as well as he was one of the original you know, directors of or one of the directors of the original as well.
Okay.
For well, not original, 2001. So I don't know. Did he do the original too? No. So he came on there and I mean he did Beetleborgs and all these different stuff. And I mean this was his calling card, to show
Yeah,
people he could actually make something. And so he got into television and good for him. I really liked it,
yeah.
for a directorial debut. I would love to interview this dude. So Gabe Torres, if you're checking this review out, hit me up. I'd love to interview you about this movie and about your career because it just like this movie itself, feels very personal. And
Yeah,
even though I don't think he was around during the 1940s, I feel like 1990s, Desert Storm was about to happen or so. There was a lot of stuff going on
right.
about that time. So maybe there was, you know, a lot of stuff he was thinking about,
Yeah.
like should he join the war? Maybe he did. I don't know. I don't know much about him, So anywho, was there anything else you wanted to mention on this?
I don't think I said anything about the costumes or the set, but they were just very well done, very meticulous. I just loved all about it, all of it. The only thing I was kind of I'm super picky about music. I was not the biggest fan of the music in this movie.
I think they were trying to find movie or music from like the 40s that they probably could get the rights to, since
Mhm.
this was an indie film. They're probably going to get the rights to like big 1940s music, or
Right.
whatever, things that people were really like listening to at that time. So the music didn't bother me because probably unlike you, I don't care about the music as much. Like I was there for the characters and the story and everything. The music is always like secondary to me unless it's like a musical, obviously, or something, but when it's kind of like that, that's just background. Like it's cool to have, and I noticed some of it was very 40s sounding, but you know, didn't really.
See, I'm totally different. Like when I'm watching a movie, I am constantly listening, and I love, I don't know, sound can make or break a movie.
Right.
Music can make or break a movie, I think. Like
Exactly.
I don't know. I'm just really connected to music in that way, so
Well,
it
good.
it makes a difference to me.
So you weren't a fan of the music. I don't think there was anything I wasn't a fan of, like or that really stood out to me that I didn't like. I mean, like you said, the period clothes were great.
Right, right.
The setting was mainly the dorms and other the cafeteria and the library because I forgot to mention that when he discovers the book and everything, the
Right.
headmaster is talking to I guess the librarian lady. And
Yeah,
so she kind of has the books, and he takes that one book away and everything. And the guy's curious about it. And he reads it that day at night, and just so enthralled by it and everything. And it
yeah.
makes him want to, kind of be a rebel against against that, against the man, And I
Right.
like that. Like I like people who take a chance and take a stand and do something. And I,
Absolutely.
I feel like Wil Wheaton's character did that. So,
Yeah.
well, I think that about wraps it up. I mean, once again, do you have anything else? Was there anything in your notes that you felt needed to be?
No, I tried to not be glancing at my notes too much.
Well, I mean, was there much more that you think we needed to make sure got mentioned?
No, I think we covered everything. I loved the character development. Character development's so important to me. I think they did a fantastic job with it.
I
Um
agree.
even though it was so heavy on the dialogue, I think they broke it up in a way that kind of kept your attention the whole time. Because
Totally.
obviously, watching people talk for 90 minutes, we'd all be falling asleep. But they just broke it up in a way and added little bits of humor and everything. I thought it was fantastic.
I did too. Well, thank you so much, Liz. This is awesome, and I'm
Of course.
really looking forward to having you back on as a guest and everything. We'll have to do Stand By Me, definitely.
Yeah,
So,
sign me
yeah.
up.
All right. Everybody, thank you guys so much for checking this out. Go check out December on Tubi, or you can buy it at Dollar Tree if you can find it with the thing for $1.20. It is so worth it. Definitely get
Yeah.
it if you can. And until next time, everybody, have a good one.
Bye,
Bye.
guys.